Okay, guys, it's Monday. Time for some Major League Baseball, and we're going to get right into it. First of two games, let's talk Reds and Marlins. Question I get asked often that we talk about on my show with Tokyo Brandon and Brian Leonard. We're on at 9 a.m. live a couple times a week. Is who are your most undervalued teams? And my answer all year to this point has been the Oakland A's in the American League, and now I'm confident in saying the Miami Marlins in the National League is the most undervalued team from a betting standpoint. Go back to their season win total, 67.5 was what Vegas had this team at coming into the season. I don't know if they're going to be a 500 team this year, but I certainly think they're closer to 80 wins than they are to let's say 60 wins or 75 wins than they are to 60 wins. So I think the Marlins are as undervalued as it gets. The reason I think that they have a ton of upside is the management change at the beginning of last season. So you get rid of Kim and G. She's out as the general manager, was a horrible general manager. You bring in Peter Bendix, former GM of the Rays, who's now the president of baseball operations. And the Marlins have made all of these really good moves since the beginning of last season. 3 or 4 really great trades. But one of the things that I really noticed last year to this year was Max Meyer, who's going to start this game tonight for the Marlins, and sort of like the strides he's made since really struggling since the beginning of last season. So Meyer was a guy that they really kept down at AAA for a lot of last year, and I was critical of that. I wasn't. He had a good sort of first couple starts in the big leagues, then kind of got buried at AAA. It felt like he was struggling with being down there. And if you listen to what the Marlins had sort of said about the whole thing, they really wanted him to work on some mechanical changes, and they had some things in mind for him that they wanted him to work at AAA. Now, this is a former first-round pick. Remember, Max Meyer's not just like some prospect. He was the 3rd overall pick in the 2020 MLB draft, and you don't see teams do that every day. Guy comes, he had some success early in the big league season last year, and they said, no, you're going to stay at AAA, and you're going to do things the way we want you to do them. And he is now, the payoff is happening now. He struggled through some of those mechanical changes last year, but he put a whole offseason of work into it, and now he's got a 2.63 ERA, a 1.13 whip. He will be the ace of this Marlins staff sooner than later. He very well may be the best pitcher on this roster this year. So 27 strikeouts in 24 innings. I think he's very undervalued and underrated, as is this Marlins team. So there is some value on the Marlins here, plus 106. The problem, and I guess why this is on this video and not a client play for me tonight, is I think the Reds are undervalued as well. Nick Lodolo's a guy that when he's healthy and he's at his best can be totally dominant. He probably didn't show his best last year. And so far this year, a 0.81 whip through a couple starts makes it a little bit tough to bet against him. But what I do like here is the under. The Reds just scored 24 runs yesterday. Obviously, a lot of that had to do with the Orioles trotting Charlie Morton out there, who's getting bombed this year, and then just sort of giving up and using their, whoever they had to finish out that game. I like playing against teams after that happens. It's really hard to have that type of offensive breakout in back-to-back days. And I love Meyer. I think he's going to keep this lineup in check. At the same token, I could see Lodolo keeping the Marlins in check a little bit, who just had to play in Philly yesterday, grinded out an extra inning win. Now they kind of have to travel home. So I think the play in this game is probably under 8. I think it's about a half run off. I've got this total here at 7.5. But then you take what happened yesterday, the 24 run outburst on the road, having to travel, Marlins playing an extra inning game. I could see these two offenses coming out a little bit flat and these two pitchers just straight up dominating. So under 8 makes a lot of sense in Reds Marlins in Miami tonight. And also tonight, I've got a 5% MLB max bet. It's only my second one of the year, and it's by far my favorite MLB bet of the season. 5% is our max rating on plays. If we could go more, I'd probably go more on this one. It's a spot I've had circled for weeks, and it's as strong of an MLB side that I've had to date this season. There's probably 10 times over the course of an MLB season that I like a play as much as I like this one tonight. It's still a 5%. That's our max rating on plays. But I absolutely love this spot. I love this play. and it is a 5% MLB max bet on my page right now. And you could still get that as part of, I believe, the 7-day. I think we still have a 7-day access special. If you want to just go with the 7 days and get all of my baseball, KBO, AAA, MLB, we'll have a ton going on this week. All right, I got the Mets hoodie on. This is actually a Syracuse Mets hoodie. I didn't even know I had this. I found this cleaning this weekend. Thing is awesome and it fits. It's got to be like a couple years old at this point. But we're talking Phillies Mets, so I had to come dressed accordingly. And you know what I think is scary about this Mets team? I don't think the Mets have even come close to playing their best ball yet this year, and they're already 15-7, and they have a plus 30 run differential. And you've got guys like Juan Soto and Francisco Lindor hitting under 300 that really haven't even come close to, I think, playing up to their ability yet this year. So I actually think right now the Mets are still undervalued, even in first place, even with their 15-7 record. I don't even think they've played even remotely close to as good as they can play this year. And that should be scary for teams like the Phillies and the rest of the NL East. And maybe a guy like Aaron Nola, who has struggled so far this year. Listen, I know there's going to be a contingent of people that says, okay, you're going to have to buy Aaron Nola. He's not going to have a 6 ERA and a 1.64 WHIP all year, and I would agree with that. I would agree with that sentiment. I think he probably gets it going at some point. But the reality is, right now, 2 or more earned runs in every start. His fastball is getting crushed, and the velocity is down. So I think you're going to need to see Nola do it a little bit before it's time to buy in with him. What's keeping him in games is his ability to generate swing and miss and get ground balls. That's keeping him in games. But this is a really good Mets lineup that still I don't think has played up to potential. I mean, even Jesse Winker's hitting under 200. Like there's a lot of guys in this lineup that could be better than they are. And then, of course, the 2 superstars, Juan Soto, Francisco Lindor. I mean, they both had great games yesterday, but I would say even from this point forward, both are pretty much a guarantee to be more productive than they've been to this point. So, and this team is still 15-7. And yesterday they win another game and they didn't need any of the top bullpen guys. They basically just gave the pen a day off and they still won a close game against a good Cardinals team. I believe they used Stanek and Butto. Like Butto's like a back end bullpen guy at this point. So that means they're going to have, after Tyler Megill here, who's a guy that I don't particularly care for, but they're really not asking much of him. They're asking him to go 4 or 5 innings, keep them in the game. And then they go to this, give the ball to this elite bullpen that they have. And today it's probably Diaz, it's probably Minter, it's the top guys, Reed Garrett, right? Like those are probably what you're going to get after Megill in this game. Makes the Mets such a good team. Just to give you a contrast, right? Mets run differential to this point in the season is plus 30. And that's with them not even really fully hitting their offensive stride. The Phillies are plus 2. I don't think these teams are even. I think the Mets might run away with this division unless Atlanta can really get going again. I wouldn't be surprised if this is the Mets division this year. And right now, at home, minus 120. I just think they're a better team than the Phillies. I would take the Mets here. It's a lean, not a client play, but the Mets is certainly the way I'm looking in this matchup. Again, 5% MLB max bet for me Monday night. It is my strongest MLB move of the season to date. I truly believe that. And I think you should head on over to WagerTalk.com, jump on that play. I will have on the clock out later today. I'll hit a couple of different games on the Monday slate, maybe a KBO game. And I will see you guys in the morning with Tokyo Brandon, Brian Leonard. We're now up to 3 shows, 3 live shows every week, 9 a.m., Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, totally interactive shows. Jump in the chat, ask your questions. We will answer them. We'll see you guys in the morning, 9 a.m. Cash all your tickets. Go get my 5% play, and good luck tonight.